We've got a Wig Wag and a low air warning light. I get so annoyed in the morning when I fire up my truck to go to work and all you hear is beep, 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 whatever annoying buzzer they put into that low air warning alarm. As a manufacturer, you do not legally need to put a buzzer in your trucks. The only reason they put a buzzer in the truck is because you can put the buzzer and the light on a single unit, so you only have to install one thing, and then they don't have to run the air up to the top of the cab. Even though you had the air for the air horn, and it's easy to tie off of that line, they just don't want to deal with the second thing, so they put an annoying buzzer that you gotta listen to, and it's for safety. No, it's not, it's just annoying. You know what, your brakes lock on. If you lose your air brake pressure, your brake's dynamite. If you miss a light and you miss a big wiggly thing in front of your face, I don't know what to tell you as a driver. If you can't see this at eye level swinging in front of your face going down the road, you're probably not going to hear the buzzer over your music or over your straight pipes anyways. Put in that. I don't care that it's an extra, I don't know, it's like $100 to buy a new Wig Wag. Just put that in so we don't have to listen to the beep in the morning. The way the law works is that it's not legal to delete your buzzer. If the OEM installs a buzzer on your truck, you have to keep your buzzer. But in all the rules and regulations that we have read, there is no law that says that the OEM needs to put the buzzer in there. So OEMs, please make it an option to not put the buzzer and go back to the Wig Wags. I've never seen a single trucker complain about the Wig Wag. I've seen every single one complain about that buzzer at 3 a.m. Also, I say new Wig Wag, but this is actually a Wig Wag out of a 1960s truck. The arm anyways. The actual mechanism part's new. The arm itself, I thought it was kind of cool to take something out of the old truck, so at least this truck has one piece that's from an old thing.
What do we get in trouble for?
Bob yelled at us.
We get in trouble for people getting mad at us for swearing.
Yeah, no. They don't want swearing in the shop. Apparently mechanics should not. It's a professional company, and mechanics should not swear in the shop. We've had a few emails that says, it is very unprofessional that you guys are a bunch of loggers, truckers, and mechanics, and you use foul language. Professional loggers, mechanics, and truckers shouldn't use... Dan can't even keep a straight face on that one. Update on truck progress. We got our low bed ramps all flanged up here. The main goal of this is when you have your fifth wheel and you're picking up a low trailer, this just lifts it up, slides the trailer along the top so that it can slide into the fifth wheel. Also on a logging Jeep setup. Now, these rails you see here aren't as smooth, they don't drop down quite as far as a normal low bed rails. But these are for our logging Jeep. So it's just meant to take our short Jeep, lift it up. It's not gonna lift a long Jeep, but it will lift a short Jeep. And anybody in the Jeep and Booster community knows what I'm talking about. Everybody else, a Jeep is the axle that goes behind the truck. It's a little tag axle like Carl has.
It's not a Jeep YJ or a Wrangler or something?
It's not a Jeep Wrangler. It's a logging Jeep. This is a low bed ramp for a logging Jeep because it's just designed so that the Jeep rests up here, lifts the trailer off the ground so you can pack your Jeep as you're driving.
What's that for?
That's our Weldon fire guard right there. Nothing but the highest quality Weldon guards. Other good news of things actually arriving, our fuel tanks are here. We got 600 liters of fuel capacity, which is probably a lot more than our truck needs to get through a day, but I hate fueling up. But yeah, these are our tanks. In hindsight, once we mounted them up, I probably, instead of going with a 26-inch diameter tank, I would have went with a 22 to increase the ground clearance. But that was very obvious once we got the truck on, not as obvious as before. Lessons learned for the next truck. So a few of you guys commented that you didn't like how our airlines were loose. We weren't done yet. We were still just kind of putting them in. But now, hopefully this makes you happy. We have actually secured these up the way they should be, properly grommeted together, a little space in between so they don't rub. But yeah, that's all tightened away now. The other thing, we were able to get our air tanks actually installed. Coming up next, we're gonna start running our air lines, our air fittings. Because we have no drive line, we put our air tanks right in the frame rail. Instead of having them off to the side or hanging down low somewhere, we figured, well, you can't get a more secure place for your airline fittings than being right inside your frame rail. They're not going to hang low. They're not going to get caught up on anything. Ground clearance is good. So that's at least one more thing notched off the list. Other good news, Ray got the electric vehicle component radiator installed today. So this provides all the cooling for our batteries, the electric motors. Really those two things. The inverter, or one of the inverters also uses coolant. But that's going to make sure our batteries stay cool while we're using them and charging them. It's a lot bigger than what we need, but I'm a firm believer it's better to have more coolant than not enough coolant. And the other cool thing is Jerry from Masabi Radiator stopped by the shop today. They're going to help us design a radiator that will do, on the front half, it's going to be for the diesel generator. On the back half, it's going to be the coolant. So rather than having, this is a radiator out of a W900 Kenworth, and this is a radiator out of a 1988 Chevy 3500 with a 454. So rather than taking off radiators from other trucks, Masabi's going to help work with us to design our own radiator that'll just do both jobs in one without having to worry about it. I want to give a big thanks to Mark from Red Dog Mine. He actually hooked us up with Masabi. Masabi is the only radiator that Mark will run up at the Red Dog Mine in Alaska. And their whole trucks, they say that they are absolutely the best radiator that you can buy, hands down, bar none, in a truck. So that's what we're going to go with, because I insist on having the best. And Mark was able to phone Masabi and then tell Masabi that they need to come down here, talk with us, sit down and help us figure out a radiator. So honestly, yeah, huge thanks to Mark, Jerry from Masabi, from coming down here and working with us. That's great. Fun fact about Masabi, they actually got started by making radiators for tanks in World War II, and it's what makes their design so unique to off-highway applications. In each vein of the rad, they actually have a plug. So if you take a rock chip or a bullet to one part of your rad, you can take that part of the rad out, put a plug in it, and keep operating and driving until you can get it repaired later. So taking a rock chip isn't the end of the world. It's a 5-minute fix. And all you do is you lose the cooling in that one vein. You don't lose your cooling in your entire radiator. Just plug it, top it up, you're back to work immediately. That's what makes Masabi radiators so cool compared to every other radiator on the market. We got our cab mounts fully done up. They're painted, they're reinstalled. Airbags are there. I'm just waiting on the bolts for the shocks, so we have a block of wood in there for now, but yeah, and the torque arm is also on here for the cab. That's going to keep the cab level, straight and back, and allow it to move up and down, side to side. You can legally use Lexan on the back window, and I'm tired of my back window taking rock chips and all that on the logging truck, because back here, you got them big drive tires constantly flinging rocks forward, and then you're always replacing back window. So if we can use Lexan, screw it. I'm just going to use a piece of Lexan or plexiglass. I said Lexan, but I honestly don't know the difference between Lexan and plexiglass. If you guys don't,
I think it's the layers.
I think they made, I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be tougher, and we'll figure out exactly what it is later. Today I'm at a higher stress level than I normally am, which is already pretty high. Our headache rack was supposed to be here 4 days ago. Basically, Flowdraulic shipped it out right after Theron's video. Literally, as soon as he was done filming, they loaded that headache rack up, put it on a truck, and then we hired a company to expedite ship it. Like, team drive it, dedicated one truck, not bring it, loads it in Flowdraulic, drives it directly here so we could get it as fast as we could, because we need it. It has all of the controls that run everything in our truck, and we need to have this installed so that when Flowdraulic gets here to help us build this truck, it's already ready to go for them, for us to make the show. They hired one trucking company for this dedicated. They hired these guys, whoever they are, CH Express. Their website's all in French, so who knows. But basically, these guys then hired somebody else to haul it, some other company that, dear God, never heard of before. Nobody would ever know about it. It was supposed to be here last weekend. Last weekend it was supposed to be here. We told them, like, hey, we'll unload it Saturday, Sunday. Like, they were basically going to run this thing around the clock. Team driving from Toronto to here should be 3 days. That would have put us there around Saturday. It's now been 8 days. 8 days on what we were promised was 3 days. It's something that we told them, this is critically important. Flowdraulic put in so many overtime hours. Their entire team worked countlessly around the clock to make sure that that headache rack PDU was perfect. Theron flew out there to inspect it to make sure it was all good. I don't know if we're gonna make the truck show if we can't get this headache rack. It's all relatively sensitive. Like, it's a headache rack. It's 8 feet tall, so if you lifted it with just normal forks, you would end up damaging the headache rack. You need long extension forks. You gotta handle it carefully. Like, be gentle with it. It's a showpiece. We spent a lot of money having this thing custom made, and there's parts in there that will take months to replace. So we paid extra because we did not want somebody unloading, reloading, redelivering this thing. Like, I wanted it dedicated shipped, and now they've been handling it. It broke down. It's delayed. I'm at the peak level of stressed out, worrying, anxious. I should have just went out there and got it myself or something. One of the lessons we have learned from this is that, like, Flowdraulic organized the shipping, and they did the best they could. They're a great company. They didn't know that this company was going to scam them and pass it off to somebody else. From now on, Edison will handle all the shipping in-house. Like, we got Old Blue. Old Blue doesn't do much anymore right now, but on the next builds, we're going to run our own trucks. I'm just going to hire a truck driver, run our old iron. We'll get another truck maybe with a sleeper for the longer distance stuff, and we're just going to handle all our own trucking freight. Use our own trucks, pick up our own stuff. Don't leave it to anybody else, especially on these critical and important things. Or I'm going to make a Rolodex of owner-operators that I know and trust. And rather than using any kind of people like this or large trucking companies we don't know, anything for Edison will only be hauled by Edison approved owner operators, where I want to be able to pick up the phone, call the company, and know that that driver that I just talked to on the phone is going to be hauling our freight. We paid a premium on this freight. Like, we paid top dollar for an expedited team delivery truck, and they ended up giving the freight off to $2,000 as a guy that just put it in the back of his van and, like, just dropped multiple things here and there off. If I'm going to pay premium top dollar, I want to know that we are getting owner operators that I trust. I want some old boy and a big old W900 to show up that, like, dedicated Edison Motors truckers to handle all their logistics, and we'll form our own trucking contingency on that, because I'm at the end of that. We can't have this in the future. Nice thing is Flowdraulic is at least going to be, they said that because, like, some of these delays, they're going to be sending out extra staff to help make sure it get us done. They're sending us 2 more electrical, Red Seal industrial electricians, electrical technicians. They're sending us lots of extra help to help make up for this delay, but this is just, we are going to be down to the wire, and I am so scared of not making this show because I've never not made a show before. By the way, we got a 50% discount code for the show. It's FC, I'm sure Theron can put it in the letters here. So it's this.
Yeah.
FC50, I think.
That's right.
Hope that worked in some, like, editing magic.
I'll just put it, like, up above your head instead.
Just somewhere. Yeah, FC50. So,
it's fully charged.
If the fully charged show, if you have faith that we'll make it and you want to buy tickets early, you get a 50% discount for buying them early by picking back Campbell. If not, Carl will be there. You'll at least get to see Carl. This truck, our odds of getting this thing complete are going down and lower every single day. My stress level is getting high. We only have 4 weeks left to get this truck done. With delays like generator delays that we've been having, their shipping delays, the delays on this headache rack now, it being lost is not good. I actually had to talk to a therapist about my stress levels yesterday. That's how stressed I am. I had to, like, go and actually talk. It was great. He was actually able to sit down, but, like, man, I have to make sure, like, I'm talking to somebody so that the stress doesn't send me going crazy.